break. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it's going to be the players. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, share the video with your friends, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and that's pretty much about it. I used new audio equipment for this, so I will actually need some feedback on that. Drop that down in the section below as well. Any audio engineers that are out there, hit me up. I need some lessons. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Family, family, family.
1000X series with Post Malone. Your music, nothing else.
Hey everyone, Vanity here, your resident Zinless lore channel. Today I wanted to cover the entire Zinless storyline with main chapters, agent missions, important events, and even lore tidbits that we've learned through dev interviews, even if they've not been shown in-game yet. I am taking a note out of Mr. Waffle's book here today, and I'm going to attempt to make this video sound like a story that I'm telling you around a campfire. My plan is to make it where even if you've never heard of Zinless before, you'll be able to leave this video ready to hop into Season 2 with a full understanding of everything that's happened so far. As you can see from the length of this video, it's a movie, and it's gonna be a long one. However, if you've already clicked on the video, I assume you're mentally ready and locked in for this. Despite the length, this video will not be including every single thing that's ever happened in the Zinless universe, as this video would easily be 4 times as long. I've included everything that I think will be relevant to know for 2.0 and some other interesting bits of info that might become important later on in the story of ZZZ. Think of this as a complete Season 1 lore compendium book. Chapters are on the timeline below to jump to certain areas, but I recommend watching all the way through for the full story experience. To any content creators watching, please feel free to react to this video on stream or on your channels. Just please tag me so I can watch all of you react. With all that said, go get some snacks, a drink or 2 or maybe 5, get comfy, or just throw an earbud in while doing something else. Let's get started. In the beginning, the world was once brimming with life and technology, but as most things, this was ruined by a war that collapsed the old civilization as we knew it. This war led to the creation of intelligent constructs to act as soldiers, and to the creation of hollows via ether. While the true origin of ether has yet to be revealed, this can be essentially compared to radiation from nuclear fallout. Ether is something that exists in the air and can even condense into crystals. Lengthy exposure to this energy can result in damage to anything organic or capable of sentience. Hollows are an extension of ether. It's home. Hollows expand in a spherical dome. Inside, a constant stream of ether energy that distorts time and space. It's able to override the data of reality as we know it to reform the world around it as it sees fit. If someone were to enter a hollow, they would almost never make it back out, as the land becomes a maze. At first, these hollows didn't have any direct hostility, as they were just energy domes that were expanding. However, evolution stops for no one. Eventually, ether energy started to corrupt sentient life into new forms, into beings that became known as ethereals. These ethereals started to spawn from not only corrupted animals, humans, and other life, but even advanced AI. Ether does not discriminate when it comes to sentient, intelligent life. If it can think, have emotions, or has the concept of a soul, ether will encroach until it corrupts. This means intelligent constructs with advanced AI that have passed the so-called forbidden fruit test and are considered to have a soul can be corrupted as well. Humans are born with a certain amount of ether resistance known as ether aptitude or ether adaptability, but as they grow, their aptitude may change, plateauing during adulthood. However, sickness, aging, and mental stability can affect your adaptability. For machines or androids, adaptability depends on the type of metal used to build them, as different metals become corrupt faster than others. Adaptability ranges from 0 to 100. For those under 50, it is recommended to never go around hollows. With an aptitude of 50 or higher, you are resilient enough to do hollow work. Humans with animal traits called thyrans have a naturally higher resistance to ether than normal humans. However, Once corruption begins in Thyrans, they tend to become fully corrupt much faster. Eventually, the era of fighting hollows for survival came to be. Due to the fall of the old civilization and the tech that was achieved in the era due to the war, it was not easy. In fact, it was almost impossible to stop the expansion of these hollows. As the hollow expands and corrupts more and more of its surroundings by collecting larger traces of ether energy, it will eventually surpass the Zinless limit, causing it to create a child hollow. These hollows came to be known as companion hollows. Humanity was forced to retreat from its main cities and attempt to build new safe havens, all while keeping the hollow crisis at bay. Step forward in time and we finally reach an age where humanity was able to thrive, creating new companies with power who managed to create the Sheyu pillars. These are pillars that allowed humanity to mine ether energy from the hollow and their surrounding area, and refine it into energy to power cities and other technology. This was a huge milestone in the war against the hollows, as this was killing two birds with one stone. It was taking ether energy away from hollows to stop their expansion and giving humanity a new energy source. Enter the Mayflower family. They wanted to create a safe haven to bring normal urban city life back to the people and attempt to reclaim what they had once had. They began construction on a city to accomplish this goal, a city where humanity can rise anew, a city known as Eridu. As you can imagine, this was no easy task. Hollows were a major threat and had consumed most of the planet by this point, so an area had to be cleared for this haven for humanity to be built. Thankfully, powerful individuals stepped in to help the construction of the city by protecting it from ethereals and hollows. These individuals were renowned as heroes and were given the title of Void Hunter by the first mayor of Eridu.
We can put an end to evil and split the heavens. We can walk out of the fog and step closer to the truth. This is our nation, forever standing tall, and with the power to accomplish miracles.
The title was not granted just due to their incredible strength, but because they contributed to the advancement and safety of Eridu and the future of humanity. 7 individuals were bestowed with the title of Void Hunter at this time. Their names were as follows: Swordmaster, the 3rd generation head of the Hoshimi family, who took down the Exaltist Overseer. The Overseer was the leader of a cult that worships ether and hollows. The Exaltist saw ether as the next form of evolution of the world and want to bring about the Age of Hollows by doing the bidding of their creator. This is something we'll go more in depth later. Lady Sunbringer, the slayer of the Hive Lord Hollow in the Sky, the former CEO of Marcel Group, and the inventor of Bangbu. These are robotic friends in the shape of rabbits that were created to help escort civilians through evacuation routes during a hollow disaster in order to keep as many people safe as possible. Eventually, the Bangbu evolved to accept data known as carrot data, which is data that decrypts the current layout of a hollow to create a path in and out with safety. The data essentially acted as a map to the unmappable. This carrot data was created by another one of the hunters, a figure known as Joyous. Joyous was the leader of the Investigation Guild. He traversed the Divine Maze, which is also known as the Papago Hollow, alone, and emerged unscathed. Through this exploration, he created the standard for hollow exploration routes known as Rosetta data, which is the data carrots are derived from. Think of Rosetta data as the master copy, and carrot data as time-limited data that expires after a short while. Joyous can be seen as the first proxy in this world. A proxy is someone who uses hollow carrot data to lead a team of hollow investigators in and out of a hollow with safety. These investigators are known as agents, and they form their own numerous groups called factions. Being a proxy is something that is now considered illegal if not done through the government-funded companies, while investigators are legal as long as they keep their license up to date. Next are 3 hunters that worked together to accomplish a great feat. Colonel Vike, Lieutenant Colonel Dan of the Guard of Staves, and the leader of the Falkenhayn mercenary troop managed to push the Dark Wall back 37 kilometers. Not much is known of the true nature of the Dark Wall. However, we do know that it is related and tied to Hollow Zero, a hollow that constantly eats away at the foundation of Eridu, and is the largest known hollow in the city, even in current times. This leads us into the 7th and final Void Hunter, Professor Arche, the founder of Helios Academy. This is an academy that was created to study and research ether and hollows as a whole. Arche is responsible for discovering the common characteristics of hollows and entered Hollow Zero to seek out the truth. Unfortunately, Professor Arche has never been seen since. Hollow Zero will be the main culprit behind many of Eridu's tragedies, including the eventual destruction of Eridu as a whole. Hollow Zero's vast size and ether energy is, of course, prone to follow the same fate as any hollow that surpasses its zenless limit. Hollow Zero has spawned 6 companion hollows that have so much ether energy on their own that they are known as primary or main hollows, which of course can spawn their own companion hollows as well. The main hollows derived from Hollow Zero are the Cretan, Limnian, Papago, Hawara, Persinus, and Solov. Hollows have areas of unstable ether energy that can form what are called fissures. These essentially act as portals that can connect to different areas of a hollow, or even link a companion hollow to its parent hollow, allowing someone to travel from one hollow to another instantaneously. Another great feat of the city is W engines and their drive disks. A W engine is a supercomputing machine built from etheric material that empowers an agent's weapon while inside a hollow. Their effects are incredibly varied, ranging from being able to rapidly lower the temperature of its environment and instantly freeze things, to being able to produce flames so hot that they can clear an entire battlefield. Drive disks, on the other hand, which slot into W engines, are CD-like disks made out of similar etheric material. The reason they are shaped like disks is due to the fact that, for some reason, music is able to affect ether on a basic level. These disks rotate with the W engine, creating a melody that resonates with the ether surrounding an agent, enabling them to draw power from their surroundings and protecting the agent from ether corruption. With the basic foundation of our story now set, let's jump generations past the founding of Eridu and the original Void Hunters, to a time of destruction and death, to the end of Eridu and its stories, and the beginning of another story, that of our main characters and everyone they know. 11 years prior to our current time, an event known as the Fall of the Old Capital took place.
Warning, warning, a hollow disaster has struck.
Run! Does money mean more than your life?
My brother! I want my brother!
One fateful day, Hollow Zero began to rapidly expand, causing it to swallow almost the entire city of Eridu. During this horrific event, at the Helios Research Academy was a researcher by the name of Carol Arna. Carol was a senior research director who also looked after children at the academy. Among these children, 2 siblings are of significant importance. Their names are Belle and Wise, the main characters of this story. The siblings looked up to Carol as their role model, and the 3 of them were extremely close. Carol had used them to test some of her research and gave the 2 of them eye implants that link directly to their brain, allowing them to connect to the Bangbu EOS through the HDD, or Hollow Deep Dive system. We'll get more into those 2 a little later. During the fall, Carol desperately wanted to protect those she loved, and managed to save Belle, Wise, EOS, and the HDD system. However, this was at the cost of herself. Carol was abducted by a giant hand right after the academy was taken over by an unknown force and attacked by unknown monsters. Due to the research Carol was involved in, she is among the names etched onto a pillar of shame and is seen as one of the main culprits behind the expansion of Hollow Zero and the fall of the Old Capital. While Carol is saving the siblings, countless stories are beginning to unfurl simultaneously across Eridu. The Eridu Defense Force attempted to send troops to help quell the expansion of Hollow Zero, including members of Nemesis Squad and Liar Squad of the Chrysoberyl Division. However, after they were sent, they were quickly overwhelmed by large ethereals. Instead of sending recovery teams, the Defense Force realized that this was no ordinary Hollow expansion, and left the members of Liar Squad and Nemesis Squad with no reinforcements. It was a lost cause. Nemesis Squad was completely wiped out except for one member, a sniper named Zoe. During her retreat, after her comrades had fallen, she ran into the remnants of Liar Squad, who were all heavily suffering from the effects of ether corruption. The captain of Liar Squad, Charon, requested that Zoe take their sniper, a soldier named Trigger, to safety. Trigger had been hit in the face by the beam of an ethereal that had left her eyes blind and corrupted. Other members of the Defense Force were sent to other areas of the city to attempt and save as many people as possible before the disaster claimed them. One of them, Spacebar, from the Defense Force's Diamond Division, left a journal of his encounters during the fall on a laptop within the Hollow. This included an account of seeing members of the Exaltists holding a public rally during the fall, muttering about their faith and wanting to be refined by their creator. Unfortunately, Spacebar eventually met the same fate as countless other Defense Force soldiers and died due to ether corruption. Meanwhile, non-researchers and militia members were attempting to do their best to survive as well. A fox-eared girl, a descendant of Swordmaster from the Hoshimi family, is forced to wield the family heirloom, Tailless, and use her mother as a sacrifice to unlock the strength to fight out of the Hollows herself. This little fox is Hoshimi Miyabi, and while she doesn't know it yet, she will one day hold the title of Void Hunter herself. We will pick her story up later. 24 hours before the Hollow disaster started, the president of Bellabog Heavy Industries, a construction company specializing in hollow construction, Hors Bellabog, discovered something inside of one of their construction projects. Inside the monument was a strange creature, one that he was immediately afraid of. Worried of the danger it could cause to his daughter, that night he took a large bag of money that was intended for the construction of a prototype mech and fled his home, leaving his two daughters, one adopted and one biological, Grace Howard and Coletta Bellabog. After delivering the money and acquiring the prototype, he finally arrived at the monument where he attempted to use the new mech to destroy the creature. After sealing it inside the structure by using the prototype to trap it, Hors got into an altercation with an unknown figure. Fatally wounded, he used his final moments to ask what the creature was. The mysterious figure replies, "A sacrifice." We will pick up this point later. 24 hours after the Hollow disaster started, at the border between the Vulcan and Janus quarters, a young girl that was on a missing persons list named Astra Yao was hidden inside of a bunker. Though she was ridden with fear and anxiety, 3 field agents from the Hollow Investigative Association, or HIA, were there to soothe her. As they hummed a song created by the popular artist Horan de Winter, the song moved and calmed Astra so much that she decided then and there that when she grows up, she wants to become a popular singer just like Horan. Unfortunately, during her rescue, the Ethereals broke into the bunker that they were sheltering in, and the HIA agents sacrificed themselves to save the girl, staying behind to protect her exit as she used the single rope that could guarantee an escape.
Ethereals are closing in!
Rescue team is en route. Roughly 1 minute out.
Don't have a minute! Captain, take my harness and set it! We'll hold the door here!
Astra, grab this tightly and stay calm. Do you remember the song I just taught you? Now it's your turn to sing for me. La 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 la.
Rescue team to command. We've reached the entrance. Ready to deploy the escape rope.
Get the kid out first!
This is the captain. Abort rope deployment. Retract the green rope at full speed. Over.
Eventually, in an attempt to fully seal off the expansion of Hollow Zero, Eridu's leaders detonated the 14 Seiyu pillars from the southeast to the northeast. The power of the explosion sparked a strong geological chain reaction, bringing about the formation of the chasm, a massive geological ravine that left nothing behind that could be corrupted, preventing Hollow Zero from gaining more etheric energy to continue its expansion. The creation of this chasm enabled the construction of the current city in our story, dubbed New Eridu. At some point between the start of New Eridu and current day, 4 super AIs were created, each with their own purpose and serving a secret agenda. These AI are monitored by 2 unknown individuals that reside outside of New Eridu. They uploaded the AI's data into the Internet forum and put all 4 of them to sleep as they awaited being awakened by someone, waiting for the opportunity to arrive. These AI are named Ghost, Jinny, Yokai, and Fairy. More on them later. After the fall of the old capital, everyone's lives changed as they readjusted while moving to New Eridu. Many lives were lost in the tragedy, and as you can imagine, this left many kids alone as orphans. In one orphanage, there was a pink-haired girl who had overheard that one of her friends was suffering from an extreme case of ether corruption. Unless they could manage to afford a suit that could help her stay alive, she did not have much time left. The pink-haired girl desperately wanted her friend to see the sun one last time, so she got all the kids in the orphanage to go around the city trying to gather as many dennies as possible. Dennies are the currency of New Eridu. The kids searched day and night, and unfortunately only managed to find a small bag full. The pink-haired girl came up with a last-minute plan. The kids would use the shiny dennies to reflect the light of the sun and create a path to which she could shine the light through the friend's window. Ultimately, the pink-haired girl, Nicole Demara, succeeded, and managed to show her friend the sun one last time. After this, she was adopted from the orphanage by a prominent family in New Eridu. However, shortly after the adoption, she was found alone, roaming the streets by herself. Out of all of the divisions in the Defense Force, the only one to survive the fall of the old capital was Obsidian Division. Years later, Obsidian Division was forced to shut down a secret program they were working on where they attempted to make clones of a white-haired girl to create the perfect soldier. The program was called Silver Company, and within it was Silver Squad, comprised solely of clones, all bearing the same appearance. The Defense Force tested each of the girls in different ways, all in service of creating the perfect obedient soldier. One such trial consisted of asking them to kill themselves in order to show their resolute dedication. 2 of these clones will be important to our story, their names being Soldier 11 and Anby. Eventually, the Silver Company project was shut down, and they decided to discard the clones, keeping only the strongest of them for the Obsidian Division. To make sure they kept only the best, the Defense Force sent the entire squad on a suicide mission, where the only one to seemingly make it out alive was Anby. Soldier 11 had not taken part in this mission, as she was left behind in her sleeping chamber to recover from a previous injury, so Anby took her spot in the mission. When she returned, they requested that Anby finish the job by killing Soldier 11, which would leave Anby as the sole clone. Seeing Soldier 11 as her own sister and closest friend, she refused, slitting her own throat instead, leaving Soldier 11 as the final survivor from Silver Squad. Or so they thought. Once the Defense Force dumped Anby's body into the ruins of the old capital, she was found by a pink-haired woman named Nicole Damara. She took Anby in and cared for her as family, causing Anby to eventually adopt Nicole's surname, now calling herself Anby Damara. Together, these two founded a faction called Gentle House that would later be known as the Cunning Hares. Meanwhile, Wise and Bell, the siblings we previously mentioned to be under Carol Arna's wing at the Helios Research Institute, set up an account as a proxy on Internet. The Internet, also known as the Proxy Network, is a forum where civilians and proxies alike can create posts and discussions about hollows, or even post commissions requesting the help of proxies to retrieve items or loved ones from within a hollow. The government-run HIA, or Hollow Investigative Association, as mentioned previously, can become quite expensive, which leads a large number of civilians to put their trust in the illegal proxies to do their work instead. As the siblings create their account called Faithin, they move to 6th Street in New Eridu and begin managing their own video store named Random Play, using the store as a cover for their proxy business. Deep inside the store is the HDD system and their Bangbu, EOS, that they managed to save with Carol Arna back during the fall of the old capital. As I stated earlier, the HDD, or Hollow Deep Dive system, is a unique smart device that is linked to the eye implants that Carol gave the siblings. This system allows Wise and Bell to connect to EOS, allowing full control of the Bangbu as if it were their own body. However, due to the implants creating a full sensory link between Faithin and EOS, any sensation that EOS feels causes the connected sibling to feel the same thing. The major benefit of using this system is that it allows Wise and Bell to communicate with each other and others while inside a hollow, something that is otherwise impossible, as the hollows block all signal communication with the outside world while inside. By using the HDD system and their Bangbu double, their ability to communicate from outside the hollow with the investigators they work with starts to bring renown to the Faithin name as they rise through the ranks of being a proxy. As Wise and Bell are completing smaller Internet commissions for money, they encounter a man named Shepard. Shepard is a commission broker who filters out high-quality and high-paying commissions for proxies for using a small percentage of the commission fee. The first commission Shepard offers the siblings is something much more than they could have ever anticipated. The individual who posted it is looking for a specific woman. However, they gave very little detail on how to find her, only providing a single photo, some sheet music, and a harmonica. The photo was of a timid woman with her eyes completely covered. The siblings decide to head to a port in New Eridu named Port Elpis, as they believe they've seen someone with covered eyes there before. Once they arrive, one of them hacks the cameras in the surrounding area to check the feed and try to find the woman, while the other sibling asks the locals in the area if they've seen anyone that looks like the woman in the photo. While asking around, they come across a stern woman who mentions that it would be better to ask the public security officers in the area before showing her distaste towards PubSec, as they cannot even deal with simple problems like ether batteries floating in the sea. She quickly takes her leave as the siblings resort to the final option. They begin to play the sheet music with the harmonica. And as if it were fate, the woman from the image appears before them. After discussing where they learned the song that they were playing, the woman agrees to follow the siblings home and meet with the client that sent the commission. They arrive back at the video store and the woman introduces herself as Charon. Despite her blindness, she immediately showcases her enhanced other senses by pointing out a faulty TV in the HDD system as it was continuously buzzing. She explains that she lost her vision in an accident, but worked on her other senses to make up for it. Shortly after this, Shepard arrives with the unfortunate news that the client who posted the commission has not responded in days, but had just randomly sent a location near the edge of a hollow. Charon mentions that we can take her into the hollow and search around, as she was a soldier who had served with the Eridu Defense Force under the Chrysoberyl Division as a sniper before retiring after the fall of the old capital. The siblings enter the hollow, using EOS and a company trigger, where they end up finding the corpses of two individuals. Charon mentions that they seem to have only died recently, and that they have bullet wounds representing sniper rounds. Cautiously, they continue exploring. After a short time, they find even more people within the hollow. However, this time, they are only unconscious. Using her special ether detection from her ether-corrupted eyes, Charon can tell that one of these unconscious individuals is not going to live for much longer, as she mentions that she can see the ether fluctuations in his body and that he will pass soon. Charon pulls out the harmonica and begins to play a familiar melody. The tune echoes through the hollow as the dying man stops groaning and simply listens to the music before taking his last breath. This peaceful moment doesn't last long, as another one of the bodies awakens. Charon convinces him to help carry the other two unconscious bodies out of the hollow. After reaching safety near the abandoned ballet twins, which were left empty following another hollow disaster, they question what happened to each person. They learn that each of the victims had served in the military at one point in their life, and one of them was the stern woman that the siblings spoke to at Port Elpis. She mentions her name is Zoe, and the names of the others were Aaron and Jesse. They all described their traumatic experience of being kidnapped and brought into the hollow, only to be played with as someone sniped at them, shooting them in non-vital areas and causing them to run into ethereals. Some twisted individual was sniping at them for fun, watching them run for their lives. Charon questions them further and learns that Zoe was a part of the Impura squad, Aaron was a part of Chartis squad, and Jesse was in the Noct squad. Aaron mentions that all three of their squads worked together on a mission during the fall of the old capital outside of Hollow Zero. Before leaving, the veterans mention that they are going to Remembrance Day soon and hope to see the others there as well. Remembrance Day is an event organized by the Defense Force for the families of the deceased soldiers and veterans as they gather to mourn the loss of their loved ones from the expansion of Hollow Zero. After returning to the video store, Shepard comes running in while out of breath and exclaims the client had sent yet another location at the edge of a hollow 10 minutes prior. Charon states that she would like to go and investigate, no matter the danger, because it's important to her to find the client that posted the commission. After retiring from the military, she spent years searching for her missing teammates. To someone raised as an orphan like her, they were family. She had searched every corner of New Eridu and had lost all hope until she heard the siblings play the harmonica at the port. This song was called Homecoming and was composed by her squad leader. This client is the last lead she has in trying to find her squad, as they were the ones who provided the sheet music. Wise and Bell agree to help her in the hollow once again. Things go a little different this time around, as once they enter the hollow, they find a communication device. Shortly after turning it on, a voice introduces herself as Grim Vulture and mentions how glad they are that a sniper of Liar Squad is here. They have a list of names that they're crossing off, and it just so happens that Charon is next. This won't stop the Vulture from trying to have fun first, though. The siblings and Charon go through each trap as Grim Vulture continues to snipe at them. At the end of each route, Vulture has set up a surprise package of seemingly bloodied items from each fallen teammate of Charon's squad, of her family. Vulture relentlessly mocked and berated Charon with insults. She is the reason her squad is dead. She wasn't a good enough soldier to save them. All the while, Vulture tortures Charon with stories of how each one of her teammates died.
Such a pity. In the end, both her hands were missing. Oh, don't you think that's a shame, little sniper? Such beautiful hands, yet they could no longer hold the sword. Ethereal's gnawed off her arms and part of her leg as well.
Charon fires off a shot in a fit of rage with the intent to kill Vulture, but misses. In return, Vulture decides to tell some of Charon's story, as she explains that her teammates went missing during the fall of the old capital, which can only mean one thing. As soldiers that fought during the tragedy, they were either killed by Ethereals or became them. She declares that Charon is creating false truths to give herself reason to go on, and will latch onto any excuse that her teammates are still alive. Charon stands there visibly shaken by the verbal assault as Vulture attempts to snipe once again, and the siblings drag Charon and escape via a nearby fissure. Once back at the video store, the siblings attempt to console Charon as she explains the full story of her tragedy. In the first hour that Hollow Zero started expanding, the Defense Force HQ believed it was just a normal Hollow disaster, and thought that they could suppress it with the normal amount of troops. The Liar Squad was among the first troops to be sent, Before they left, they were promised to receive backup shortly after. As HQ realized how bad the disaster was, as it was devouring Eridu at a horrifying speed, they decided not to send reinforcements, causing the initial troops they sent out to deal with an endless torrent of ethereals like never before seen. Charon mentions that an ethereal beam had hit her in the face, causing her eyes to become corrupted, that she shortly lost consciousness after. She eventually wakes up again, and the last thing she sees before her eyesight disappears forever was her squad mates standing in front of her, looking back as a massive ethereal loomed in the background. She then lost consciousness once again before waking up back at base. She hasn't seen her squad since, and has no idea who saved her life. Shortly after she was rescued was when they decided to detonate the Shiyu pillars to regain control of the Hollow. In case you didn't connect the dots already, yes, the so-called Charon we have been discussing was in fact Trigger from Liar Squad mentioned previously. Zoe, the woman they saved from the Hollow before, was the same Zoe that was asked by Charon, the leader of Liar Squad, to drag Trigger to safety. We'll get into why Trigger took Charon's name in a bit, but for now, let's continue. Wise and Belle console Charon by telling her a little of their story and how they're in a similar boat. They too are searching for someone important to them that they know is alive somewhere, but have no proof. All they can do is just hold out hope, no matter how many tell them otherwise. This tender moment ends as Shepard appears with a new location. However, this time, it's at Scott Outpost, a base managed by the Defense Force and White Star Institute to keep watch and research over Hollow Zero. Conveniently, this is the same location that the Remembrance Day ceremony is being held. In fact, it's happening as they speak. Charon and the siblings head to Scott Outpost to attempt and have direct contact with Grim Vulture, but when they arrive, Charon sees the family of her deceased teammates and musters up the courage to speak to them. Many console her, saying it was never her fault. However, one younger girl named Zeta, the daughter of her teammate Styx, has her own opinion.
If that's so, why didn't you protect my dad during the fall of the old capital? Why did you let him die and make him unable to come back to me?
The mother, Sally, apologizes for her behavior as they take their leave. Shortly after, all of the family from each member comes up to Charon and mentions how much she meant to each of their teammates, and that, while it's sad that they're gone, they have managed to make the most of their loss, and have been able to achieve many new dreams while attempting to make their loved ones proud. They mention that they were all invited to Remembrance Day via a DM by a man named Nathan, who was the brother of Lethe, another one of Charon's teammates. He was a part of the Defense Force and was actually a part of the squad that was supposed to be reinforcements for the Liar and Nemesis squads, but couldn't stop the Defense Force from pulling them back out, causing Nathan to leave his own brother behind. Charon asks which squad he was a part of, and he responds Impura, the same squad that Zoe, the girl they saved from the Hollow before, said she was a part of. Right on time after this revelation is made, the Defense Force begins a speech from a retired member of the Force, and who else but Zoe walks up to the stand for a speech.
Hello everyone. I'm honored to stand here and speak on behalf of all of the soldiers of the Defense Force. Today, we gather to commemorate Remembrance Day, a day born from the tragedy of the old capital's fall.
Zoe raised her eyes to scan the crowd. Her eyes fell upon Charon, and her demeanor suddenly changed as she continued.
My speech was meant to end here, but since you all seem quite engaged, please allow me to share a little more. The reason you all agree with what I've said is because it offers a way to step away from the pain. That's what the living do. They seek ways to ease the weight of others' deaths so they can find a way to start over. This is the new Eridu of today. A huge disaster consumed the old capital, and the people who survived it keep saying things like, treasure the moment and start fresh to numb themselves, hoping to forget the nightmare. No one talks about the soldiers who gave their lives in Hollow Zero. No one asks why they had to die. The brave gave their lives battling the ethereal onslaught, while the weak survived.
The speech continues to grow in angst between Charon and Zoe before Zoe firmly declares that her speech is over and flees the outpost. Suddenly, the siblings receive a call from Shepard saying that he received yet another location at the edge of the hollow in Port Elpis, along with a photo of more tied-up individuals. Charon and the siblings return to the video store as they prepare to enter the hollow for the last time to have a sniper duel with Grim Vulture. Once they enter, they find yet another communicator where Grim Vulture starts her normal trash talk. This time, Charon decides to fight back, stating that she understands now. Grim Vulture, who at this point is clear to be Zoe, stated that she was in the Nemesis squad during her speech, meaning that she was in a squad who was left to die like Charon. They had been on similar paths, but took different routes after the fall of the old capital. While Charon had tried to live a normal life and find her missing teammates, Zoe had taken it upon herself to find the members of the squads that were supposed to provide backup and kill them all for fleeing like cowards. Zoe continues her mocking method, this time on the individuals in the squads she killed.
Noct, Cartus, Impera, and many other squads. Did you know the reinforcements that were meant to back us up ended up deciding to retreat? Relying on a show of hands to vote. Isn't that ridiculous? Our lives were discarded in such an absurd way, like a kindergarten election for class monitor. When I killed them, I employed the same method. I made the dozen or so people I captured vote on who I should kill first. You wouldn't believe how funny it was.
The two continue to fight over morals and which path is right until they have a final standoff. During the battle, Charon uses a precise moment of the wind, ripping a flag off the building to block Zoe's vision as they both get hit by precision shots. Thankfully, the bullet that hit Charon struck the harmonica in her vest and didn't pierce through. Charon goes to Zoe's side as she bleeds out from the sniper shot. The storm pouring down around them can't seem to wash away the scent of her blood. They have one final conversation in which Zoe reveals that she was the one who saved Charon from the ruins of Eridu at the request of her former squad captain. She also reveals that she did not kill some of the members that were tied up in the image sent to Shepard, and that they were still alive. As Zoe recites her life's message, she continues to bleed out. Charon pulls out the bullet-marred harmonica and plays the same familiar melody, Homecoming, once again, while enduring the pain of her corrupted eyes. A faint glimmer appeared in Zoe's empty eyes in her final moments as she finally finds her own peace. After rescuing the kidnapped Defense Force soldiers and leaving the Hollow, Charon and the siblings anonymously report the situation to PubSec and reach out to Shepard to set up a meeting with him and the people they saved. The meeting was set at Port Elpis, and upon checking the trash next to where the siblings first met Zoe, they find a journal written by her. In this journal, we find out that Zoe had a plan to train a new Guardian of Eridu by throwing them into a hollow and sniping at them from afar. If the person managed to best her, then Eridu would finally have a new Guardian. Zoe writes that one of her teammates in the Nemesis squad, Peregrine, had proposed to her, but she was too shy to give an answer. She decided that after her next mission, she would finally wear the beautiful outfit he had bought for her and give him her answer. That mission was the fall of Eridu. The siblings put the journal back where they found it and let it rest before meeting back up with Charon and interacting with Nathan. Apparently, Nathan managed to find a gift left behind by Lethe and his belongings with a recording on it meant for Charon. She played it aloud for the siblings.
Hey, hello? Alright, it's a recording. This is a message from Liar Squad for our little sniper. Everyone ready? I'll count down. 3, 2, 1.
Congratulations on your 1,000th day with Liar Squad!
Hey, you guys are totally out of sync. Captain, can we redo this? The anniversary gift has to be perfect.
That's our assault specialist, Acheron. She has a strong sense of aesthetics, prioritizing beauty in both combat and her daily life. She taught me a lot about makeup and fashion.
Oh, she won't care if we're a little off. Forget the re-record. Let's just get it done and order the cake. We don't want him to sell out.
That's our medic, Kakaitis. He's usually lazy and a bit of a smooth talker, but he's actually very capable and kind. He taught me a lot about unconventional negotiation tactics and ways of handling things.
You two, stop arguing during the recording. I've already ordered the cake. If you keep rambling, we really will have to re-record this. Cut the chatter already.
And that Styx, a reliable artillery specialist. He's the oldest in the squad. He loves sharing photos of his daughter and reminiscing about how he wooed his wife. The way he won her over inspired me a lot.
All right, let's all calm down. Wouldn't want to get on the captain's bad side. Captain, would you like to go first? We can edit or re-record whatever we need to.
That's our scout and engineer, Lethe. He's a bit self-conscious because of how his younger brother excels, and he's somewhat introverted. But he's actually very capable. He taught me sharp observation skills, calm execution under pressure, and how to make use of the environment.
Okay, thank you all for settling down before I completely lost my cool. It's fine. No need to cut anything or re-record. Let's just keep it as it is. Loud and messy, just like our liar squad.
That's our captain, who took me in and taught me how to play the harmonica. And the real Charon. I'll make sure to explain properly to you later, Proxy.
As you've heard, this recording is a little gift from the 5 of us. How time flies. When I brought you into the squad about 2.5 years ago, you were just a shy kid who blushed whenever you talked to someone. Over these 1,000 days, you've really worked hard to keep pace with our fighting rhythm. You've done incredibly well. In the last mission, your successful sniper kill of that high-risk ethereal really helped Acheron a lot. I hate to say it, but yeah, I went too far in last time. Thanks for getting me out of that mess. Just this once, I'll admit, your moves were more elegant in that fight.
And not just that fight. Ever since you became a quicker shot and learned to adjust for wind speeds on the fly, we've been taking fewer and fewer hits. Makes my job way easier. So, cheers.
You often worry about not doing enough. But in these 2.5 years, you've absorbed everything I know about stealth, reconnaissance, and tactical countermeasures. Trust me, you'll become an incredibly skilled sniper.
Having you covering us from the rear makes every fight feel safer. But you still have a lot to learn about socializing and romance. When peace finally comes to Eridu, leave us and live your own life.
Where did that come from? She's not leaving us. Even if she retires, she'll move into my house and I'll spoil her with loads of beautiful clothes. We can talk about living alone in 10 or 20 years. Sorry, I got carried away. Anyway, you're talented and hardworking. Over these 1,000 days, you've opened your heart to us and even encouraged us in return. Having you as a comrade is a blessing for all 5 of us. But I have to say one thing. You're always so sensitive and kind. Every time you see us get hurt, you look like you're about to break. Has our squad motto, having each other's backs, become too much of a burden for you? I get how you feel. When your squad mates trust you with their backs, your first instinct is to protect them, right? But that's not the way it should be. No one can shoulder everything alone. Don't try to carry everything on your own. Choosing to fight on the battlefield is my resolve. Feel it. Share yours with me. And when it's your turn to watch my back, I'll give my all to honor it too.
As long as you fight with all your strength, there's no such thing as failing to protect something, because your will and our will is preserved and carried on in other ways.
But don't let that weigh on you. Try to trust in us, just like we trust in you, no matter what.
I've struggled with that kind of thinking myself, but I eventually made my way through it. All this talk of camaraderie, of keeping each other safe, it's like a harmonica melody scoring our time together. Even when things change, our tune will go on, and that's enough.
Exactly. Honestly, I'm sometimes terrified. Afraid that someday, you'll blame yourself for failing to protect us and fall apart. That's why I wanted to record this message. Please, don't try to bear everything alone. Maybe you can start relying on us more, fully entrusting your vulnerable side to us. Our will has long been intertwined with yours. We're comrades. The this is getting way too sentimental. It doesn't feel like me anymore. Anyway, we just want to see you trusting your comrades enough to share your burdens, even if it isn't us. Finally, we'd like to give you the song that's closest to us. If what we've said is hard to understand, just feel it through the music. Please, enjoy my masterpiece, Homecoming.
As you heard here, and as I mentioned before, the old squad leader's name was Charon, and the Charon in front of the siblings finally admits why she took her captain's old codename. She believed that as someone who couldn't protect her own squad, she didn't deserve her codename. And so, she took on Charon's name to honor her, as the real Charon was an orphan just like her, and didn't have any family, meaning Trigger may be the last person alive to remember her. Right before she reveals her true codename as Trigger to the siblings, they stop her. Since Trigger wants to find the people behind the fall of the old capital and bring them to justice, and the siblings are simultaneously trying to find and clear Carol Arna's name, they say to her that although they are walking different paths, it will all eventually lead to the same destination. Once they arrive there, only then can Trigger reveal her true codename to them. She leaves the siblings and decides to accept an offer to join the Obsidian Division. The Obsidian Division, being the last remaining division after the fall of the old capital, means that they have to be sent out on a large array of missions all across New Eridu. On one such mission, an Obsidian Division soldier named Tsukishiro Yanagi was sent to fight a clan of Oni rebels who were fighting to live within New Eridu's limits. During the mission, she finds a hungry blue Oni child. As she attempts to feed her, a bomb comes sailing down from the sky.
Get down!
She covers the Oni girl during the explosion and passes out. She awakens later within the Oni's den, as they argue on what to do with the human they found with the child, Sokaku. Yanagi begins to lecture the Oni leaders, saying that their desire to keep seeking revenge is why the cycle of bloodshed continues over and over. Humans and Oni are both to blame for the war between the two. Sokaku runs over and bites Yanagi's thigh while yelling to the Oni leader.
Sokaku, come here now.
Sis, this lady gave Shokaku tasty food. Shokaku wants to share with everyone.
The leader tells the other Oni to stand down and asks Yanagi why she's there. Yanagi explains that if her intel's correct, the Oni leader that started all of this is already dead, and there's no reason to keep fighting. Since Sokaku's sister is responsible for the fights after the original leader's death, she sacrifices herself and merges her blood with Yanagi, making her a symbol of peace and unity between Oni and humankind. Now, with half Oni, half human blood, Yanagi begins to return to New Eridu under the ruse that the Oni have been dealt with. However, Sokaku runs after Yanagi, who now smells of her beloved sister. So Yanagi takes Sokaku back with her as her guardian.
What? What is this?
A few months later, a hollow disaster begins as the hollow named Argos begins to rapidly expand, consuming a part of the city. The Defense Force sets up air support and rallies troops inside to attempt to slay a massive symbiotic ethereal named Lerna. Symbiotic ethereals are an extremely rare, advanced, and dangerous class of ethereal. Not much is known about them at this point, but we'll discuss them later in the video. Due to a lack of intel, the Eridu Defense Force was unaware that destroying one of the ethereal's cores would just spawn more false cores in its place, similar to a Hydra from Greek mythology. In response to this, a consultant of Tops, a conglomerate of some of the most powerful companies within New Eridu, begins a meeting with the chief commander of the defense force, the fox-eared Hoshimi clan descendant Miyabi, as well as the half-Oni-blooded Tsukishiro Yanagi and executive officer Asaba Haramasa. Both Miyabi and Haramasa are executive officers of HAND, which stand for Hollow Affairs and Neutralization Department, a department that works with TOPS and the Defense Force, specializing in taking down high-risk targets such as this. The consultant wants to detonate the Seiyu pillar that is currently inside the Argos Hollow to ensure the death of Lerna. However, as Yanagi points out, this would also kill the civilians attempting to escape, with a total of 208 casualties. Miyabi steps in, overruling the TOPS consultant, who screams that if she fails, the death of everyone and the expansion of Argos into a Great Hollow will be on her hands. Miyabi counters that she can't allow the death of so many innocents. She jumps out of the helicarrier and falls into the hollow from above, wielding the Hoshimi relic sword tailless. In less than 3 minutes, Miyabi manages to shatter all of Lerna's cores, defeating the Ethereal alone, saving the potential 208 casualties and preventing Argos from expanding further. Shortly after this mission, Miyabi is officially granted the title of Void Hunter for her massive accomplishment. Due to Haramasa and Yanagi speaking up against the TOPS consultant, Miyabi asks for the transfer of them both to her command, as she founds a new section within HAND that will attempt to seek out the roots of all evil and sever it. Hollow Special Operations Section 6. Eventually, Yanagi gets approval for Sokaku to join Section 6 as well, due to Sokaku's incredible strength that would allow her to help during field missions. Now, we fast forward a bit to 2 years before the present day. The White Star Institute, a faction dedicated to researching and observing hollows and ethereals, sought to hold a mission to retrieve both the rare special etheric matter and the research inside their 4th laboratory, which had succumbed to being overtaken by Hollow Zero and a ravine area called the Arpeggio Fault. During this mission, however, the White Star Institute had no idea there was a spy within their ranks. This spy was Eloan Mystique, a girl who was commonly forgotten and never excelled in any category. She was actually working for the Rebels, a group of Defense Force defects that betrayed the military and fled to do their own missions. During this mission, she was supposed to obtain a keycard, as the Rebels used mechs stolen from the Defense Force to keep the White Star members at bay while they raided the lab. However, Eloan never managed to obtain the code to the lab vault, which caused the Rebels to move to Plan B, using highly volatile ether explosives that the mechs bought to blow the vault open. Unfortunately for everyone involved, a mysterious symbiotic ethereal that used crimson threads to manipulate people and their consciousness found its way into the vault and began wreaking havoc. Eloan knew that the people she was supposed to betray were in grave danger, and yet she couldn't just let them die. She had grown fond of the researchers at the White Star Institute, and so she fled from the Rebels, hacked into the mechs, and gave them a new directive. Instead of bringing the bombs to the designated location, the mechs were sent to seek out individuals with high ether activity and detonate the bombs in close proximity. This was successful in causing the massive ethereal to retreat. However, in the process, Eloan had suffered too much corruption and was going to turn into an ethereal herself. She made one final request to the White Star team: to be cremated before the Hollow could cause her to turn. If she was going out, she wanted to go out on her own terms. The team agreed and buried her remains within the vault and left a gravestone behind in her memory, as they were only alive because of her. In the end, neither the Rebels nor the White Star Institute were able to make it to the 4th laboratory. This left the special etheric matter and research inside to never be recovered or seen again. Or so they thought. We'll come back to this later. Woo! Okay. You still with me? I know I've been yapping your ear off for quite a while, but I have some great news. We can now officially start to get into the story and lore that starts at the beginning of the game. Fun, right? Let's begin. Of course, the game starts off by introducing the main siblings, Wise and Belle, chilling in Random Play's office watching TV. We see the head of Janus Quarter's public security, Officer Justin Bringer, on the news. He gives a briefing to the reporters about the operation on 14th Street, where they are currently conducting a manhunt for the Red Fang Gang and their leader, Miguel Silver. The Red Fang Gang are a criminal faction in New Eridu that, according to Officer Bringer, perpetrated a terrorist attack against the White Star Institute. Remember this officer, as he will become extremely important later. Unfortunately for public security, their manhunt has just been interrupted by the appearance of a holo on 14th Street. Unbeknownst to the siblings, it just so happens that this manhunt also involves the main faction and customers of Phaethon, the Cunning Hares, previously known as Gentle House. At this point, we've already discussed how Nicole found Anby and founded the Gentle House, but since then, Billy the Kid has joined the faction. Billy is an intelligent construct from the old civilization that resided in the area outside of New Eridu called the Outer Ring for quite some time. He eventually made his way to New Eridu, where he met Nicole and joined the ranks of the Cunning Hares. It might seem like a catchphrase at this point, but we'll get more into that later. The Cunning Hares were deep in the red with financials, so Nicole took a risky commission to steal a strongbox from the Red Fang Gang. When things inevitably went wrong, the Red Fang Gang, led by Miguel Silver, chased Nicole and company to the top of a building in the Janus Quarter. Unfortunately, they get closed off and pinned down by the Red Fangs. Being out of options, they use a flashbang to alert the public security air force in the area, and, with the help of a deranged news reporter, cause an explosion, which knocks Billy, Anby, Miguel Silver, and the all-important Strongbox into the hollow below. This is obviously very dangerous for everyone involved, as they fall in with no proxy or carrot support. Thankfully, Anby quickly runs into Billy, and they look for a way out of the hollow. On the way, they come across the Strongbox. Hooray! Which is next to the currently mutating Miguel Silver. They witness as he fully mutates into a Dullahan ethereal, and Billy quickly acts to provide cover for the two of them to retreat to safety, as they know that they can't take them down by themselves. Meanwhile, the siblings are still watching the news report as Nicole frantically breaks down the door, informs them of what happened, and begins to try and hire them to help her get Anby and Billy out of the hollow. During this conversation, Nicole does mention that the general election is around the corner, which, albeit just a passing comment, this general election will be a plot point in the future, and I recommend keeping that in the back of your mind. The siblings agree to help Nicole save the rest of the Cunning Hares, and she places Eos at a designated location, while Phaethon connects to him through the HDD and enters the hollow. They quickly locate Anby and Billy and extract them to safety, leaving behind the strongbox in the hollow for now. Once everyone's reunited, Nicole gives the siblings a USB drive she took off Miguel Silver to try and decrypt the information in case it has something on the strongbox. While the siblings decrypt the drive, the Cunning Hares come up with a foolproof plan to re-enter the hollow and retrieve the strongbox. This incredible plan is instantly derailed after entering the hollow, as the HDD system gets hacked and taken over for a short period by someone named White Noise. This causes the siblings to get disconnected from Eos, leaving the Cunning Hares stranded with no proxy and no carrot data. Shortly thereafter, the Hares come across a group of hollow investigators. Billy suggests that they give up the identity of Phaethon in order to receive help out of the hollow, but Nicole declines and tells them to keep moving. On Phaethon's side of the hack, the siblings learn from the hacker that the strongbox contains an AI system that can calculate hollow paths similarly to the scale of Rosetta data, which, as we mentioned before, is the master copy of hollow data only accessible to the city's rulers. The siblings quickly realize that this hacker is not all he seems cracked up to be, and outsmarts him by sacrificing their Phaethon account to him and then calling PubSec on Phaethon, who was now the hacker. As White Noise leaves to deal with the sirens that are approaching his location, the siblings promptly reconnect to Eos and continue on with the Cunning Hares to find the strongbox. After defeating the Dullahan, who was once Miguel Silver, the siblings mention that the carrot data they originally had was corrupted due to the hacking that just occurred, and their only option is to open the strongbox and use what's inside to find a way out. Nicole gives her permission, and Phaethon inserts the data chip from the strongbox into Eos's cute little forehead. The sibling controlling the HDD then receives a strange memory or vision of them standing by Hollow Zero at what appears to be the lookout tower located in the Scott outpost. They watch as Hollow Zero starts to expand and consume everything around it before the vision ends. While they reel from what they just saw, the sibling gets flooded with information and agrees to a contract with Fairy to wait for the opportunity before passing out. We then get to hear a conversation between the two mysterious voices that are said to be outside of New Eridu. Remember when I said we'd come back to this later? These are the two people I mentioned towards the start that are overseeing the powerful AIs that were put to sleep. The voice mentions that one of the keys has been activated, mentioning all 4 super AIs: Fairy, Yokai, Jenny, and Ghost. Once this conversation ends, the sibling that passed out and agreed to the contract is woken up by a mysterious doctor, provided by Nicole of course, who pulls them out of the HDD. Fairy introduces herself to Phaethon as a Type 3 general-purpose AI equipped with total sequential integration and the ability to access over 80% of smart devices in the city. This marks the end of the prologue as the siblings start to use Fairy to build up a new Intronaut account after giving away the Phaethon account to get rid of the hacker. The siblings take a break from working the smaller level commissions and decide to watch some TV together for the night. Meanwhile, the Cunning Hares are off to find out more information about the Strongbox and why the Red Fang gang stole it. While watching TV, the news comes on, showcasing Mr. Perlman and Sarah, who talk about Vision Corporation and their amazing plan to rework the old Metro project, which they won the bid for by beating out Bellabog Heavy Industries, now owned by Coletta Bellabog, who took over once she was old enough after the disappearance of her father. Vision Corporation offered to do this project in less time with lower costs. Their plan was to send special explosives to the demolition zone since they had evacuated all the residents there. But there was a hollow blocking part of the metro line called the Dead End Hollow. So they decided to send these explosives through a special train, transporting them through the hollow itself. During the news segment, a Cat Thyron girl bursts into the store and mentions that she hired Nicole and the Cunning Hares for a commission and was sent there by Nicole while she deals with the mass amounts of residents still within the blast zone because, surprise, surprise, the way they actually lowered the cost of the Metro project was that they didn't evacuate anyone. To prove that she's telling the truth, she gives the siblings Nicole's Bang Boost so they can look at the visual data and see the entire situation firsthand. The playback starts and we get to see Nicole being chased by the Red Fang gang, which she quickly handles, but then gets surprise attacked by the cat girl that came into the video store, who explains to Nicole that she wants to hire them to help her retrieve her family heirloom from the gang. In this conversation, she also mentions her name, Nekomiya Mana, or Nekomata for short. The news kicks back on, interrupting the siblings from watching more of the Bang Boo footage, as they announce that the final train of explosives are on their way to the demolition site, so the siblings quickly come up with a plan to intercept the train and stop it before it can arrive. While Nekomata and the siblings are on the way to the train's location, they ran into a small maid wielding a chainsaw who introduces herself as Corin. She got stuck behind a train and had no carrot data to get out of the hollow. Phaethon and Nekomata quickly help Corin find a way out before continuing towards the train. Upon getting inside the train, they find it filled with fake public security officers. Nekomata quickly jumps into the train and throws Phaethon out to return to the store, mentioning that she has a carrot to escape. Once the siblings return to random play, they learn that the demolition has been postponed for an extra day due to technical difficulties, giving them a little bit more time to save the residents near the demolition zone. They come up with a new plan to use the train to evacuate both the residents and the Cunning Hares from the blast zone. This is safe for the residents as well, since the train itself is resistant to ether corruption, so it will act as a sort of suit for the residents to avoid getting corrupted as they travel through the hollow. Shockingly, this plan goes south. When they capture Perlman to hijack the train, one of the fake public security officers blows up the tracks, rendering the train plan useless. Nekomata then reveals that she actually used to work for the Red Fang gang, and that the heirloom she was looking for was a picture of her and Miguel Silver. She originally hired the Cunning Hares to get close to them in order to get revenge for killing Miguel Silver. Alas, Nekomiya has a change of heart when she sees how hard the Hares were working to get the residents to safety, and after learning that Miguel fell into the hollow rather than being killed by the Hares. She then attempts to offer herself and Perlman as a bargaining chip to stop the demolition plan. This, however, does not work, as Sarah immediately shoots Perlman with a sleep dart, exclaiming that he is but a pawn in the bigger scheme of things, which means Nekomata's plan has now failed. Thankfully, the siblings had come up with a backup plan when Nekomata fled with Perlman, just in case it didn't work. The size of a hollow depends on the amount of ether energy inside it. This includes all the ethereals within it, meaning if they could reduce the size of a hollow, then it could shrink enough to allow the residents to leave through the train tunnel without having to risk ether corruption. To do this, Phaethon sends the Cunning Hares on a mission to kill the Dead-End Butcher, a high-ranking ethereal with enough ether energy to equal hundreds of normal ones. Once the Cunning Hares destroy the Dead-End Butcher, they start to evacuate everyone. Frustrated, Sarah tries a last-ditch effort and orders the fake public security officers to open fire on all the residents. When all hope seems lost, our girl Nicole comes in clutch and saves the day. Thinking ahead, Miss Damara had contacted Bellabog Heavy Industries, who showed up in person to inspect the situation with the media in tow. As the residents celebrated, the fake public security officers were taken into custody and Sarah fled the scene. In the aftermath, the Cunning Hares decided to add Nekomata to the team as a permanent member, and Nicole agrees to represent the thankfully still alive residents in court for the inevitable hearings against the Vision Corporation as a result of the whole situation. During the downtime after the Vision debacle, Shepard reached back out to the siblings for a special commission that would involve meeting up with a Defense Force agent. They agree and decide to meet the agent in the back alley of the video store and use the code words Shepard gave them to signal they are the proxy.
Flame? Thunder.
After completing the code word, the white-haired agent introduces herself as Soldier 11 of the Defense Force. If you remember, this is the same woman that Anby sacrificed herself for back during their time in Silver Company. After Silver Company was dissolved, Soldier 11 was transferred to a normal squad within Obsidian Division, the Obel Squad. Soldier 11 is unaware of the real identity of the siblings and explains that for this upcoming mission, she needs them to act like they are the legendary proxy Phaethon. There's a mole within the Defense Force leading a rebel squad, and she intends on infiltrating the rebel group as a spy to bring them to justice. She expresses how much hate she holds for traitors and will never see them as anything more than worthless. Thankfully, the leader of the rebel group is a huge fan of Phaethon, so Soldier 11 brought the siblings in to act as a fake Phaethon to buy her some trust with the rebel group and be fully initiated. After some missions with the mole, and as the siblings prove their worth as the legendary proxy Phaethon, he gives Soldier another mission: steal confidential Defense Force information.
I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that this has happened already. It is
events. It all started with a competition, became a peculiar Discord server. IronHideout.net will be up soon with unimaginable features, with an in-game guild to finalize the revolution.
Greetings builders, Daniel here and well. Greetings builders, Daniel here and I'm excited to
So this is a new story. It came out today. So what we have now is we have a post-mortem. Now, post-mortems are what happened after something died. What happened and what died? Dragon Age died. So Jason Schreier, and this is the guy, Jason Schreier, he writes this whole article inside the Dragon Age debacle that gutted EA's BioWare, what is this? Move this shit down. BioWare studio. So he's writing this whole article explaining why Dragon Age was bad and everything. And I wanted to go back and see exactly where it came down to, what is actually people's response to the game. And this is a big issue. And so let's scroll down. We're going to find and see if there's any level of instance of this where he talks about why the game wasn't liked. And so have Grok summarized? No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something. When Dragon Age the Veilguard, this is the important part. When Dragon Age the Veilguard finally premiered on Halloween 2024 after many internal delays, some staff members thought there was a lot to like, including the game's new combat system, but players were less impressed and sales sputtered. The reactions of the fan base are mixed, to put it gently. No, they were not mixed. It was actually very one-dimensional. Some, like myself, adore it for various reasons. Others feel utterly betrayed for certain design choices. And so this is the big issue that Jason has, is that Jason Schreier does not even want... This is... Like, I think Jason... Like, it's embarrassing because I think Jason is he's a journalist and he's just pushing propaganda. Like, if you actually think that the reason why Dragon Age failed didn't have anything to do with that, like, type of woke and, like, fucking social messaging, you're out of your fucking mind. You're totally fucking delusional if you think that didn't happen. And, like, the only credibility that you give to this at all is one small paragraph that you don't even explain why people are mad about it. You don't even give any credibility to it. And the only time that you talk about it is in the context of somebody saying that it was wrong. That's ridiculous. And so the problem is that, like, and this is the issue, is that he said the game was a success in the first few days. He did. Let me see here. Jason... Forbes, Dragon Age. I think I can probably fix this, right? Yeah. Jason Schreier, Dragon Age tweet. So this is what Jason Schreier said initially. He said, go woke or go top the charts, right? There's no way you genuinely like this turd. I actually don't like the game very much, but I like seeing you chuds get dunked on. So Jason Schreier went and he actually tried to defend this game and try to make all the people that didn't like it look bad and look stupid. But it turns out that it doesn't matter because people didn't buy the game, and now he has to write an entire post-mortem on why this game not only killed the franchise, but killed basically the entire studio. And so he roached out, and this, by the way, he roached all the way out of Twitter completely. Like, he's still not, is he still on that Blue Sky shit? Let me see if he is. Where Jason Schreier? Yeah, he got his shit locked down, and he's still on Blue Sky. And you go and follow him on Blue Sky, you see what's going on with this. This is not good, man. It is not good at all. I suspect that here in the Dragon Age, Velgar's numerous development, a lot of Palins expressing empathy for the people in the trenches. And you got people talking about this without being hyperbolic. As a manager insisting on deadlines, it's like, yeah, you only got 2,000. This would be way more people talking about this and saying about this. And so you sitting there on your hug box, you're not doing yourself or anybody any favors. And so the reality is that a lot of people, despite all the BioWare higher-ups that he talked to, he intentionally missed the story. The game failed because it was defined in the minds of the audience by YouTubers making fun of the quests and the pronouns. This is the game that proved that approval from Asmongold matters more than approval for IGN. I don't even think it's about me, right? Like, I'm not even talking about me. Like, there's a lot of people that make, because this is the reality. Why the people pushing this? No, these people want to ignore the elephant in the room. They ignore the elephant in the room. They say it's not there. It's not there. So Paul Tassi goes back. He tweets about this. He says, it's easy to push back on this, but when, quote, woke debates consume literally the entire marketing campaign, that it can, in fact, be damaging. It is. Like, if you think that it's not bad when you have a trailer come out and most people think that it's garbage and it has a negative like-dislike ratio or an under 50% like-dislike ratio, you have a fucking problem. You have a major fucking problem. And these people can pretend like the elephant's not in the room, but at the end of the day, the game comes out and it fucking is. And he admitted to not even liking the game. Yeah. And so, yeah, Lords of the Fallen CEO agreed with you. Yo, everybody did, right? And so, and yes, Asmongold trashing something does actually matter now, like it or not. That is a sad state of affairs, isn't it? That must suck. Like, if I was them, I'd be fucking pissed, man. I'd be out of my goddamn fucking mind having to see that shit. And so, yeah, 100%. He has a lot of Blue Sky parts about this article. Look at it. It's insane. Well, yeah, no, the thing is, you got a problem for sure, especially because you had a solid foundation you built a shit on. Yeah, no, it was awful. And so anyway, I respond back to this, and I said this myself. And we're also reading our boy SkillUp's review is particularly damaging. Written like HRs in the room was a line that was repeated throughout. Anytime there was a Veilguard discussion, Gene is 100% fucking right on this, like 300% right on this. And people like that line even transcended Veilguard. Like, that line is how people